All right, YouTube, what is up, man? My bad. I've been busy moving for the past 2 days. Finally got resettled and unpacked and all that stuff. So we back on the videos, man. I know I've been posting videos, and I'm sure y'all already heard all this stuff already, but y'all haven't heard my opinion. So it seems like Pusha T has exposed a lot of information, man, on how Drake has literally killed the game. Right? A lot of people, including myself on YouTube, was like, yo, Drake is about to kill hip hop. He's about to kill rattle. He's about to kill the essence of battling. You know, just because you say something that you don't that hurts your feelings, now you can end up suing them. Right. So everybody been saying that, including myself. And this is what we got here. Look like Pusha T confirmed that Def Jam would not allow them to release their album because of Kendrick Lamar, because of what they say, because, you know, somebody's feelings might get hurt. And this is what everybody was saying. I don't know how people couldn't understand, like, this is going to kill hip hop. So let's see what Fantastic Hip Hop has to say about this.
Kendrick Lamar and Pusha T. Well, if you are ready to get the biggest hip-hop collaboration that we have seen in years and just watch the rap game be in shambles over two MCs coming together like never before, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, because after what Pusha T just told us, things have never looked more exciting in rap for the next month or so, because after so much speculation and specifically questions around if Kendrick Lamar was going to be a feature on the upcoming Clips album, well, Pusha T and Malice just sat down with GQ for a huge interview where they have revealed so much, and over everything else, they have told us how scared the music industry truly is over seeing the two boogeymen of the rap game just come together and send a message like no other two rappers in this era could possibly do. And now, as over everything else we now know, that Kendrick Lamar linked up with the best MCs that he possibly could and is ready to get more competitive with them, to the point that the entire industry is crashing out about this. Really, before we go any further into why the industry is so scared of Kendrick and Push coming together and how Drake has already been embarrassed pretty bad by Push just speaking here, leave that like if you have not already, so all of hip hop can see how important this moment is going to be. And now, with that said, when it comes to Pusha T, Kendrick Lamar, and everything else, we may have just gotten the most important interview we have from a rapper all year, because with every—
Yo, this interview has taken the hip hop by storm, man. Apparently Pusha T has said some more stuff too as well. Not just the stuff that we just seen, but some more stuff.
Everything that Pusha and Malice told us here, well, they were not like most rappers when they do these interviews in this era and just speak in riddles or just do nothing whatsoever and waste our time. But in typical fashion, Push and Malice got right to it and told us some very important info, which is both telling us some very exciting stuff about where hip-hop is at and what we are about to see with the new Clips album, but at the same time, we also heard some very disturbing things about the state of the music industry and how even these rappers have been treated, all because of what Drake decided to do when he filed paperwork against his label UMG. And now specifically, what I am talking about and what Push referred to here is the status of the new Clips album, and within this, why the record was taking so long to drop. As Push said, it has been done for a decent amount of time at this point, but ironically enough, because this is how Clips' career started before their first album we got from them in 2002 came out with another record in another label that we never saw. They got shelved and pushed back, which was pretty much happening here, but now it wasn't because Push and Malice are not proven artists who have legendary careers in this day and age, but it was because of something else, as Push told us that Def Jam loved the album and almost everything they heard, and that one thing that they didn't like was a verse from Kendrick Lamar on the track Chains and Whips. And now with this, just to look at what the interview straight up says.
I could just only imagine what Kendrick and Pusha T talking about chains and whips. So I'm sure they're going to be talking about the industry. I'm sure they're going to be talking about a lot of different things. And, you know, the record label didn't like it.
It tells us that if you expected the album last summer, the brothers sympathized, so did they. Pusha says they felt confident, proud, and assured of themselves when they presented the music to Def Jam. The label loved what they heard, except for Kendrick Lamar's guest verse on the thunderous Chains and Whips, the final version of the song that Pharrell teased at his first LV Runaway show, and the song that Pusha says was the first to come out of their sessions. Don't be fooled by Pusha's interviews appealing for one last guest verse and the joke that he went to a GNX tour date to physically walk Kendrick Lamar into the nearest studio. K-Dot's verse homework has been turned in for a while now. And now also looking at this and hearing that Kendrick's verse has been done for a while is very interesting and telling. But now after saying this, the interview goes on to tell us why the verse was pushed back on by the industry, which was because after a summer of beef between their two biggest artists that resulted in a still ongoing lawsuit from Drake, Def Jam's parent company UMG blanched at the antagonistic optics of two of Drake's biggest enemies linking up on wax, which it calls their apprehension stupid, primarily because none of the bars in Kendrick's otherwise excellent verse could really be perceived as a shot or even subliminal. It does, however, contain the stellar line, "Therapy taught me how to open up, but it also showed me I don't give a." And now with this, well, I guess we just learned what some of the bars on Kendrick's verse will say with the last sentence, which seems to allude to the duality and lessons learned in both the Mr. Morale and GNX era of his careers. But now in the much bigger picture of this thing and with what is said here, well, this is what rap and the expectations in the genre are going to start to look like in a world where Drake is trying to ruin the genre with his suit and overall just scare the industry into even engaging in artistic moments of victory and greatness like we have seen with Kendrick and Push right here. And again, why—
Boy, this is so, man, how can you be a Drake fan? How can you, if you like hip hop, how can you be a Drake fan? Because Drake is literally trying to strip away the essence of hip hop. freedom of speech, freedom of expression, art. You cannot try to censor art. You cannot try to contain art. It is freedom. Just because your feelings hurt, now you're going to sue. Man, get up out of here.
Why it's been so important to call out Drake and stay on him for the vulture that he really has become in this era is all because of seeing the struggles that Pusha T and Kendrick Lamar of all people have had to get out a song. Because really, if these two couldn't get out a song, this is all the reason why we need to keep pushing back and why Drake needs to lose here. Otherwise, rap is about to enter an era where things have never been more soft and expression as a whole will really be cooked. Because seriously, with what we are witnessing with what Push just told us, we were literally reading that we would have not got a song between Kendrick Lamar and Pusha T if Push didn't continue to push back on his label and then force Def Jam to drop him from the label as a whole and get him off the UMG roster. And even with this, now this is why Pusha T signed to Roc Nation as an independent MC to distribute this thing. And even with that, well, joining Jay after getting dropped is why Jay is so important to hip-hop and why we need somebody like him to have the position he does, because his understanding of both the industry and hip-hop culture makes sure that everybody has a seat at the table in general.
You know, as much things I may say about Jay-Z, as much as people may say about G, I mean, Jay-Z does, you know, he does step in when it's needed to, you know, so.
When it may be harder than ever to do that, especially because of what Drake has done. And again, now what we are seeing is an early example of how the Drake crash out and suit is trying to ruin artistic expression, because if we read what Push felt about this, the interview tells us Pusha could barely contain his disgust, recounting how the stalemate with Def Jam played out. They wanted me to ask Kendrick to censor his verse, which of course I was never doing, he explains, and then they wanted me to take the record off, and so after a month of not doing it, the label just said, we'll just drop the clips, but that can't work because I'm still there solo, but if you let us all go. Sure enough, Def Jam eventually agreed to release the clips and drop Pusha as a solo artist, freeing the duo up to shop for a new home with a finished Clips album and plenty more music in their pockets. Ultimately, Pusha says the endeavor was gratifying. It felt good to even see how other labels were buying for the project. And now, as they teased last week with a picture in front of the label's plain insignia, they've ended up at Jay-Z's Roc Nation, where they feel fully supported and energized. I think that synergy, just in a rap sense, is going to speak volumes, Pusha says, of the partnership. And now, fortunately for Push, he ended up being a free agent and joining Jay-Z, but for most artists, they're not going to get this treatment from the label and will either be shelved alone or just forced to do what they say, which would have been to ruin the Kendrick Lamar verse like they asked, and maybe even take it off entirely, because I am sure that Kendrick Lamar would not let only half or a fraction of his vision be released to the world without it actually having its full impact. But now also I will say, as bad as all of this stuff is in terms of the industry not wanting to hear Kendrick and Push together, there is some more good news here, as Push also does tease that Jay-Z is on this record, which once again just shows how much we are winning and how peak this thing is gonna be. As just to put it into perspective, the article reads, so they're officially doing business with The Rock, and the Kendrick verse was never the feature Push kept alluding to and holding out for. Does this mean we're due for another Pusha and Jay-Z collaboration? And then in response to this, Push said, we made history a couple of times, Push said with a coy smirk, referring to the two elusive Jay features he's nabbed in the past. And now beyond this, Push unfortunately
so it seems like we are getting the Jay-Z.
Had to keep talking about Drake, as he was being asked how he felt about the weird disses he kept sending to him and Pharrell, and more importantly, Push was asked about the suit and what he thought about there, where he said, if Drake's adamant to have a lawsuit, it's only because he knows all the things they did to suppress everything that was happening around Adidon and the verses and records and things that were happening back then. And then Push alluded to instances in which the label ruined his verses because of the entire Drake situation, and he specifically cited the tracks with Rick Ross and Lil Wayne in Maybach Music 6 and the posthumously released Pop Smoke song with Young Thug. And once again, just saying something like this, Push is showing his own experience of how the industry had to hold him back for Drake, and again, he knows that Drake has manipulated everything to help him and protect him for so long, which at the very least just shows us that something is so up, and we really have to thank Push for being one of the few rappers who just spoke up about Drake and the suit and says about Drake now as a whole. Now, because of this entire suit, I don't rate him no more, Pusha says off Drake's off-wax antics. The suing thing is bigger than some rap. I just don't rate you. It's like it kind of just cheapens the art of once we gotta have real questions about suing and litigation. Like, what? For this? And I mean, Push has just said what we all feel in a more direct and understandable way that most of us could never put into words like this, and really with this, well, what is so clear is that both with the song that Kendrick and Push have made together and with Drake, which just the principle of what he has been doing has tried to ruin this album and everything around it. Well, now Jay is helping Pusha and this song come out, and of course, these guys are all trying to move Drake out of the way so expression in hip-hop can reign over everything else. And I am sure that with what Kendrick has recorded and Push with whatever else we are going to see, over everything else, this record is truly going to be Drake's worst nightmare. But he has never...
In the grand scheme of things, man, Drake is a sucker, man. Drake is just a flat-out sucker, man. And everybody on YouTube was like, man, do y'all know how damaging this could be for hip-hop? And as y'all see, this is how damaging it could be. So if you're a Drake fan, how can you condone this? Drake cannot win this lawsuit. All right, for the sake of hip hop, Drake cannot, I repeat, cannot win this lawsuit. Y'all leave a comment down below, man. It's your boy DMD. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about Karen Drake trying to kill hip hop.